Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Zip, back to bring you all the great crypto news and that macro picture of what is going on in the environment. I hope everyone is doing fantastic and you're keeping that mindset on positive lock. And if you're not, by the end of this video tonight, we're going to talk about XRP and XLM and crypto in general, and just some big things that are going on to get you absolutely fired up, to keep your mindset on lock with the future and where these assets are going. Now, with that, please remember to hit those likes for me. Put your comments out there. Let me know if you're doing okay in this crypto market that's going up and down. We know that we saw XRP drop and the market's down a little bit, except for a little surprise at the end that we're going to talk about in this video. That one crypto asset that I keep on hinting about that just continues to stay in the green, it seems. But with that, nothing I say is financial advice, but we're going to jump straight into it. And look, ladies and gentlemen, the momentum is here. You have to see this in the big picture. If you focus specifically on one day that the market's down or 2 days, and you're not looking in that big picture and you sell, you're going to regret it. Okay. I speak from experience. Absolutely. As folks are out there selling their XRP, selling their XLM because they see red in the market, because they're fear, the fear porn that's going on out there, whales are coming back in and scooping up all of your crypto. Do not allow that to happen to you. At the end of this video, hang on, because we're going to talk about exit strategies as well. I'm going to go over my thesis again, and we're just going to talk about some basics to make sure that you are set up, and at least you can start to educate yourself, because it's your decision at the end of the day of how to handle this environment. Again, nothing I say is financial advice. Just being through this environment in a few bull runs, I've seen those ups and downs and those portfolio drops. And this time I want to make sure that it doesn't happen and I can continue to accumulate long term, because that's the mindset of where this is going until full utility comes into the environment. Now let's take a listen to this just to kick things off, so we know exactly where it's going, in case somehow you forgot about it because you're down because you see a little red in that portfolio.
I mean, you basically have, I would say, a kind of perfect storm where the macro environment is very positive, which means the macro environment for crypto is very positive. You have every branch of government, every branch of government in the biggest financial market in the world, extremely pro crypto. So they're all now, before 9 months ago, they were thinking, how do we kill crypto? Now they're thinking, how do we undo all the damage that was done? And how do we accelerate crypto to be, the leading economy for crypto? And that's every branch of the government that I've seen. And to your point, we've been dealing with various governments in the US government for a while.
You are in the right place at the right time. We have been blessed to be able to front run some of the institutions. If you've been here for years and years, congratulations. You are in early. If you are brand new to this market and you have only been around this market ever since the president started talking about it and you started seeing more and more of this information being out there, you're early. You're absolutely still early for what is going to happen in the future. And even this year, Q4, still believe it's going to be big. All right. But the huge utility of it long term is even bigger. And we're going to talk about some of that acceleration and what is going on behind the scenes. Again, the OCC came out again today. Community banks can partner with companies developing stablecoins to foster innovation and offer new products. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the OCC, this is a strategic shift that is occurring, that we are witnessing, and it's happening faster and faster. That snowball is picking up every day, every month, and that long-term view is what we have to have. The OCC promises to update regulations continuously, and this demonstrates fintech, innovation that's going to go on, and they're going to embrace that and ensure that, one, it provides legitimacy for this asset class that we're in and institutional, adoption. Two, it's going to boost long-term demand. Remember, as we're talking about stable coins, which we're going to talk about even deeper here in a minute, these stable coins have to run on layer one networks. They're running on XRP. They're going to run on Stellar, which we're going to dive into that here in a minute. The OCC is promising here to stay up to date with new use cases that we're waiting for to come out in the future as DeFi explodes, as tokenization blows up. They are going to tokenize everything, which is going to bring liquidity to these asset classes that you own. Remember, you own the technical stack. You own the software that is going to move money all around the road. Absolutely exciting. I hope you see that. Now, look at this news. This came out today. Gemini's NASDAQ IPO filing reveals Ripple credit deal and RLUSD liquidity access. Ripple is everywhere. All right. They are growing very, very fast and becoming more and more like a bank. We know that they have applied for that bank charter. And with this here, we can see in this deal, the Gemini twins went out and they're going to utilize Ripple credit as a facility. And it's a key part of Gemini's growth strategy. That's what came out of here within the agreement. The agreement outlines the following terms: minimum borrowing, $5 million, with an initial commitment through Ripple in this deal of up to $75 million, a maximum commitment of $150 million based upon performance metrics. And they even show the interest rates here, and repayment loans. The point to this is that RLUSD's integration as a stablecoin is an issuance of credit to Gemini as they're going into this IPO phase. And all this came out, in the filings that were revealed from the SEC, and it shows that, again, RLUSD is going to play a critical role in the ecosystem, in Ripple's ecosystem, and across the environment as stable coins, now that the Genius Act has been passed, begin to blow up. I'd go out here and read this article, but this is really big. And more of the point to this is that this is Ripple acting just like a bank, issuing capital, issuing credit, issuing loans. This is the future, and this is where we are going. Again, these are the things that we want to see as you are investing, as your assets are sitting there. You're seeing utility of the company and what is going on with Ripple. They are going to be and are a behemoth, but they're becoming even more of a huge entity in this asset environment. And again, you that own XRP, you own part of that environment. Take a look at this post by Paul Baring again, and it kind of plays out what is going on with Ripple. And we know the big picture of XRP. If you're brand new, go into the library, the videos I've made. I've talked time and time again of where Ripple utilizing XRP and RLUSD, what their broad vision is. And it's huge. It's absolutely taking over the internet of value and moving all of the money all over the world. And as this case finally gets signed off by the judge, we're waiting on a signature. Who knows what is going to come out with regards to the NDAs? What is there, 1,500 different NDAs that they have signed with different institutions, different banks, different businesses out there? We don't even know. We know the tip of the spear of what is happening, which is huge. But below that, it's like an iceberg, just an absolutely a tsunami of growth that is going to be coming on chain. But, you know, he talks about here in this post, XRP, major crypto with what? A banking license application to the OCC. We see that Gemini is reaching out to Ripple and utilizing their RLUSD as a credit line to help support, excuse me, that IPO environment for Gemini. They have New York regulatory approval. You know, their accounting measures are top notch, and they report on that RLUSD quarterly. You know, 70 plus central bank partnerships, which we've talked about over and over, proven cross-border infrastructure that they are building out the rails for this new infrastructure, the new financial system that we see that is unfolding right before our eyes. Absolutely amazing time to be alive. Very, very exciting. Now, with that, we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about another one of my favorites, which is XLM and what is going on with Stellar, because again, Stellar is also growing tremendously. All right, we saw this come out today. Stellar posted, we are excited to share that Paxos has received a non-objection update, you know, from the New York State Department of Financial Services for PYUSD to be issued on Stellar. That is one step closer to bringing PYUSD to Stellar this year. Now, so much is going on within this environment. You know, Stellar has, and we're going to see here in a minute, we're going to talk about more stable coins that are coming to the Stellar network. But remember, as stable coins and that capital comes on chain to Stellar, on chain to XLM. XLM is going to be burned. Utility. This is the utility that we are talking about. These payment infrastructures and these rails and these companies that are updating using these technologies, using these layer one blockchains like like Stellar, XLM, and Ripple XRP. More news. Another stablecoin being dropped, you guessed it, on the Stellar blockchain. TDM, which is a South African broker, has launched the ZARK coin. You know, and the TD Markets is a well-established South African broker. All right. Utility, ladies and gentlemen. These are the choices these companies are making. And as we look at this that came out today, again, introducing this ZARK coin, a South African rand peg asset to the Stellar network, I want to look at this and think about the broad picture, again, the macro of where the world is going. As we look at this, we see that it's going to be pegged 1-to-1 to the South African rand, again, on the Stellar network in partnership with Shift Markets. Together, TDME and Shift Markets offer a deep Forex broker expertise and crypto infrastructure that supports issuance distribution. As we see here, they're also going to allow yield-bearing asset designed for cross-border payment remittances. Now, look at this return. ZARK coin holders returns of up to 7.5 APY. That's not bad for holding a stable coin, you know, but this is the transition that we are seeing, and that is going to be coming here to us here in America. We're going to see these same type of returns in a safe, regulated environment. That is the key. It needs to be safe and regulated before we start jumping all in and taking advantage of this. And that's why, you know, the Genius Act was absolutely important for a stablecoin regulation, but that Clarity Act that is going to get approved in September sets all of the regulatory, the framework guidance of how to utilize this environment and these tokens that we are involved with. Now, Stellar, again, rwa.xyz. You can go out there and you can look at all this information yourself. But when we look at Stellar, we see that their tokenized RWA value is $458 million, up about 4% over the last 30 days. And if we go down and we look at the actual stable coins, now there's 8 of them. We have, Franklin Templeton with their Benji coin, Circle, USDC, Wisdom Tree with USDW, and a whole litany of other ones to now include Zark coin. All of that to say that with this tremendous growth that is going on that we see in Stellar, yes, price is going to go up. Okay. Not financial advice, but this is one of those why I diversify across the board, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, in these other chains, because these chains are all interconnected. We know the history with Ripple, XRP, and Stellar. All right. There is history there with regards to the CEOs and the CEO of, Stellar. We also know this is another one that's a sleeper. We know there is history and ties with SHX. All right. We're going to listen to this here from Sean here in a minute, but all of these companies are working with each other. We don't know all of the playbook. Some of this is subjective, obviously, but when you start to tie together all of the pieces, you start to realize there is a bigger puzzle here that is all coming together to change this financial environment, and you and I can take advantage of that. And when that price starts to shoot up, we're going to be in the right place at the right time. Now let's listen to Sean and what he has to say here about that relationship with Ripple and Stronghold. And remember, Stronghold operates on the Stellar XLM network.
Yes, Stronghold has worked with Ripple, and Ripple itself, Ripple Labs, is actually an investor in Stronghold.
Again, plans within plans. Ripple, everywhere we look, they have some kind of acquisition or partnership in deep. We have Stellar, XLM. It's really a 1-2 punch with SHX coming in, which has been doing pretty good in the market. When all the other coins were red in this last drop, SHX has stayed green. All right. I have big hopes, and I believe big things are going to happen with SHX in the future. Now, let's shift gears as we complete this video here tonight, and let's talk about exit strategies again, because you have to have a purpose. What is your purpose for making profits? If it's just to make money, you're going to have it one day and it's going to be evaporated the next day. You want to put a purpose towards these profits. If you decide to take profits in this upcoming altcoin bull run that is getting closer and closer to happening. But number one, let's get this going here like this. But with that purpose, if you don't, again, that money is just going to evaporate. So if you're brand new to this environment, brand new to the channel, again, welcome. Hit the subscribe button so you get the notifications and you stay up to date on the latest information, but do your own research. Do not rely on, YouTube University and all of the different content creators that are out there, to include myself. We try to bring you the most up-to-date information, but we do not know everything. All right. You have to do your own research, because everyone's situation is different with regards to how much capital you may have and how you want to invest. Don't FOMO. We want to stay non-emotional. Fear of missing out. If you're brand new, a lot of acronyms out here, but just stay non-emotional. That's why we don't worry about the dips and the ups in the market, because we're trying to show you that bigger picture, that macro view of where this environment is going long term, which is up. They are going to utilize this technology, and they are going to absolutely tokenize everything in the future. So being in the right chains and doing your research gives you that confidence to stay non-emotional. age matters 100%. You know, the perspective for someone that's between 20 and 35 years old or 40 years old is going to be different than someone that is 50 to 60 to 70 years old with regards to how they want to exit the market or utilize profits. All right. And with that, age matters really comes in. Time in the market matters more than timing the market. The longer you can stay in these markets, and I know many of you have been in battling and have been holding XRP as an example for many, many years, and you're just ready to get off the roller coaster ride. Some of you are brand new, so that time in the market, it needs to mature. And when we're speaking about this, you know, when I talk about diversified portfolio, you do want to make sure you have enough skin in the game, meaning that you have enough crypto asset, you know, purchased in one asset if you believe that's the asset before you start to diversify too much. Because if you diversify too much, you're going to liquidate some of, you know, your holdings, meaning maybe you have 500 XRP and then you decide to get 500 XLM and 500 SHX and 500 HBAR. That's a phenomenal portfolio, but maybe going all in initially, because if you look at research and you understand how great wealth is made and how many successful people, they went all in on something that they were highly confident in. And when you go all in, you know, you just set a limit for what that means to you. You have to do the numbers. You have to, you know, understand what is, you know, in that environment, what that means to you, you know, with different prices. Start to calculate the price. If XRP gets to $15 this year, is that good for you? Depending on how much you own, I don't know. Is it life-changing? That's what we're looking for, life-changing, you know. But again, hire professionals. We need personal structures, strategies. We're talking about trusts and LLCs. Again, nothing I say is financial advice, but you want to be ready. When we talk about exiting, yes, the plan is to exit. But when I'm exiting out of some of these other cryptos like XLM, HBAR, or XDC, I'm going to ladder those out. You know, I'm not exiting all of my bag. A bag, if you're brand new, that's how much of your crypto is what you actually own, how many tokens you actually own of a certain crypto. But I'm going to exit strategically in a laddered approach that I've documented, I've written down, so I stay non-emotional, and I'm going to ladder out of some of these cryptos, and I'm going to pile into what I believe is the dark horse, what I believe is going to be probably one of the biggest, you know, surprises to many folks, and that's XRP. That's Zip's decision there. You have to make your own decision, but that's why you have to have a purpose. Why? The purpose for me, if I'm laddering out, is so I can increase my XRP bag. All right. Other laddered approaches out, if I'm exiting out of a said crypto like XRP, say at $10 or $15, I have a purpose to do that. I'm not doing it willy-nilly just to have fiat dollars, you know, in the traditional banking system. Money does you no good in a bank account. It's the velocity of money. I will be putting it into different strategies that I utilize, like infinite banking. Why? Because it protects my capital and continues to compound long term. I'll pay off a debt, you know, so that I maybe can give myself some more breathing room so I can stack my bags even more. And in the future, investing into dividend ETFs so that they produce monthly cash flow so that we can pay our bills. Point being, purpose. That is the key. You want to have a purpose in these markets and make sure you know where each dollar is going and what is it going for. Is it to go buy a Lamborghini right away? If that makes you happy, then that's your purpose. But for me, I want to be able to consolidate this money and make sure that it continues to earn me future profits and stability into the future. But with that, Again, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you, if nothing else, if you hung on to the end of this video, you have defined a purpose for all of the great profit that is going to be coming in the future in this asset class. And I hope that you gained more confidence if you're an XRP holder, if you're an XLM holder, or hell, if you're just in crypto in general, because the big picture is where this is going is up. They are all in. The whole world is all in. The governments are all in. And remember, they've been building this very quietly behind the scenes. We were lucky enough to see what the future was going to hold and where we were going to go with this environment. And we will be blessed. Absolutely. I do believe that. And I just hope that your mindset is absolutely locked on to your purpose and where the future is going to be. But until next time, until you know the deal, I like to say, until at one point when this thing really explodes and we can spend some time and resonate together on the most beautiful beaches of the world, because that's what we're going to be doing, building those relationships and having more purpose and building businesses. That's what this environment can do. Set your mind on it, and I believe it'll happen. But with that, be safe, stay away from the scammers. The scammers are absolutely out there in force. Look back on my last video where I talked about it at the end. Lock your phones down, lock your wallets down, lock your email down, 2FA. Build that security perimeter and be absolutely smart so we can all make it to that finish line. And with that, Zip is out.